Now I'm going to discuss how we would look for a new law. In general, we look for a new law by the following process. First,
you think time is just a clock on your wall. Tick, tock, 1 second follows the next. You have a past you can remember, a present you are living, and a future you are moving toward. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow isn't here yet, fine. But why? Why does time only go in one direction? Why can't you remember the future? Why can't you walk backward through time just as easily as you walk backward through a room? Most people have never really thought about this. They just accept it. Time moves forward. That's just the rule. You are born, you grow old, you die. You don't die, grow young, and get unborn. That's just how reality works. But that is not an explanation. That is just describing what you see. When you actually ask why the universe insists on this strict one-way street, when you dig into the absolute bedrock of physics, you discover something so strange, so deeply unsettling, that it completely rewrites what you think now actually is. Time isn't what you think it is. In fact, on a fundamental level, the forward flow of time doesn't even exist. Let me show you what I mean. Let's start with something simple, something you see every day. Imagine you are holding a glass of water. You drop it, it hits the floor and shatters into 100 pieces, splashing water everywhere. Now, imagine watching a video of that event in reverse. You see a puddle of water and 100 shards of glass suddenly jump off the floor, perfectly assemble themselves in midair, seal every crack flawlessly, and land neatly in your hand as a perfect full glass of water. If you saw that video, you would laugh. You would know instantly, without a shadow of a doubt, that the video was playing backward. The universe simply does not do that. Broken things don't spontaneously unbreak. But here is where your intuition collides with the actual laws of the universe. If you zoom in on that glass, zoom way, way in down to the atoms of the glass and the molecules of the floor, and you watch them bounce off each other during the collision, a terrifying discrepancy appears. The fundamental laws of physics, Newton's laws of motion, Einstein's relativity, the quantum mechanics of atoms, none of them care about the direction of time. If you record a video of two single atoms bouncing off each other and play it backward, it looks exactly the same. The laws of physics work perfectly well in both directions. In the microscopic world, time has no arrow. The equations are completely symmetrical, so if every single atom in that glass is following rules that work perfectly forward and backward, why doesn't the whole glass work backward? If the microscopic pieces are reversible, why is the macroscopic world irreversible? Where does the one-way street come from? This is the discrepancy. This is the moment where our everyday common sense completely fails to explain the universe. To solve this, we have to look at an avalanche of discovery that started in the 1800s. People weren't trying to solve the mystery of time. They were just trying to build better steam engines. A man named Sadi Carnot was trying to figure out how to get the most work out of heat. Then others, like James Clerk Maxwell and a brilliant, tragic physicist named Ludwig Boltzmann, started looking deeply at what heat actually is. Boltzmann realized that heat isn't a fluid, it's just the chaotic jiggling of atoms. And he realized that to understand this chaos, you couldn't track every single atom. There are too many of them. You have to use statistics. You have to look at the probabilities. And when Boltzmann did the math, he discovered the secret of time. He discovered entropy. Let me make this concrete. Imagine a brand new deck of playing cards. They are in perfect order. Spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds, all in numerical sequence. That is a state of high order. It is highly organized. Now, you shuffle the deck. What happens? They get mixed up. You shuffle them again. They get more mixed up. Why do they never shuffle back into perfect numerical order? It's not because a physical law prevents it. It is entirely possible that your hands could just happen to move the cards exactly back into a perfect sequence. But the probability is so infinitesimally small that it will practically never happen in the lifetime of the universe. Why? Because there is exactly one way for the deck to be in perfect order, but there are a staggering, incomprehensible number of ways for the deck to be completely messed up. The deck moves from order to disorder simply because there are overwhelmingly more ways to be messy than to be neat. This is what entropy is. Entropy is a measure of the number of possible ways you can arrange the microscopic pieces of a system without changing how it looks on the outside. And the second law of thermodynamics states that the total entropy of an isolated system can only increase. Things go from order to disorder. Now apply this to the glass of water. The perfect unbroken glass is like the sorted deck of cards. The The atoms have to be in a very specific, highly ordered arrangement to form a glass. But the shattered shards on the floor, that's the shuffled deck. There are billions and billions of different ways those pieces can be scattered on the floor. And the reason the glass doesn't jump off the floor and put itself back together isn't because the atoms can't move that way. It's simply because there is only one way to be a perfect glass, and an infinite number of ways to be a pile of garbage. The universe is just blindly shuffling the deck, and it is statistically inevitable that things will become more mixed up. And here is where it should break your brain. That statistical inevitability, that slide from order into chaos, is the arrow of time. Time doesn't have a direction built into its fundamental fabric. The only reason you experience yesterday as different from tomorrow is because yesterday the universe was slightly more organized, and tomorrow it will be slightly more messy. The arrow of time is not a property of space. It is just the mathematics of probability playing out on a cosmic scale. You can't remember the future for the exact same reason you can't uncrack an egg. The information is scattering. The deck is being shuffled. But wait, if you pull at this thread, a massive, glaring problem emerges. If the universe is always moving from order to chaos, from low entropy to high entropy, then that means yesterday it was more ordered than today. And a year ago, it was more ordered than that. If you keep winding the clock backward, you are forced to a shocking conclusion. For the universe to be this messy now, but still have enough order left over to support stars, planets, and human life, it must have started in a state of almost unimaginable perfection. Why did the universe start with a sorted deck? Why, 13.8 billion years ago, was the universe in a state of ridiculously low entropy? And here is the answer that is going to frustrate you. We don't entirely know, but we know it happened. We call it the Big Bang. For some reason, the universe began in a tightly packed, incredibly organized, exceptionally low entropy state. It was a perfectly wound-up clock. And ever since that exact moment, the clock has been winding down. The deck is being shuffled. The universe is expanding. Stars are burning through their fuel. Heat is radiating into the cold vacuum of space, and structures are slowly crumbling. Everything you do, every thought you have, every city we build actually accelerates this process. You think building a skyscraper is creating order. It is locally, sure. But to build it, you had to burn coal, smelt iron, sweat, and radiate heat. The total messiness of the universe went up drastically, just so you could stack some steel beams. You are a machine that consumes ordered energy, like food and sunlight, and spits out disordered energy, like body heat and waste. You are an engine of entropy. Life itself is just a very efficient way for the universe to shuffle its deck. So let's bring this all together. Why does time only go forward? Because the universe started with a sorted deck of cards, and it's spending eternity shuffling them. The direction of time is not a physical force pushing you. It is a statistical tidal wave. The past is the direction of low entropy. The future is the direction of high entropy. You feel like you are moving through time, but really you are just experiencing the universe slowly, inevitably mixing itself up. The arrow of time is just the universe trying to reach equilibrium, and this avalanche of discovery, from Carnot struggling with steam engines, to Boltzmann risking his sanity to understand probability, to astronomers looking back at the Big Bang, it all connects. It reveals that the rigid ticking clock of time is an illusion, created by the overwhelming math of chaos. We are trapped in the one-way flow of probability. The universe is a glass that has been dropped, and we are just the sparks of consciousness observing the shards as they scatter across the floor. And the fact that we can understand it, that we can look at a broken glass and see the birth and eventual heat death of the entire cosmos, that we can use mathematics to peel back the illusion of time itself. That is the beauty of physics. Not comfort, not simplicity, truth.